Hello ladies and gentlemen, Mr. El Pazo here with another drawing video. Today we're going to draw an iguana. Here's two very nice iguanas. These are both watercolored. We'll talk about that in a second. Oh, look at that. That's a great face right there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make mine as good as that. That's a great iguana. It's just hanging out, laying on a branch. It's got some vines wrapped around the branch. I'm going to put this iguana right over here. Here's another nice iguana. The sun's setting behind him. Just relaxing on a branch. In a rainforest somewhere. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, now, feel free to pause, rewind, or stop the video if I'm going too fast, which I'm going to. That way my videos are not 4.5 hours long. I'm going to zip right through really fast, but rewind it a million times if you want to, okay? Remember to draw lightly. A lot of little parts, little long fingers and vines and stripes and spikes and little wrinkles on the skin under the neck. So there's a lot of little details on this one. So you're going to be doing a lot of erasing, just as I probably will be doing. So you're going to want a piece of paper. You're going to want to use it horizontal, sideways. Whoosh, whoosh. If you have a nice big piece of paper, like 12 by 18, which is what these were done on, then use that. We'll talk about paper in a second. So the first thing I'm going to do, and you want to do this lightly. First of all, because we're going to erase part of it. I'm going to draw a line that's going to be almost the entire length of his back in one swoop, right off the bat. So I want to start that line right about there. And I want to start it right about there because I want to leave just enough room for his head so that his nose can go right to the end of the paper. And I want to put it high enough because his body's going to be right here and his tail's going to swoop down. Okay? You know, let me see if I can. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put these where you can see them. Yeah, you can see that. And they're not really going to be in my way, if at all. That way you can kind of see where we're going. Okay? So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go down a little bit, and then swoop across my paper, and right before I get to the end of the paper, I'm going to curve around and down. Okay? Just go down and down. Now I'm going to do the bottom part, the belly part. And I'm going to start in the same place right here. This is going to swoop down, and however far you go down here, that's going to be how deep his chest is. If you go really low, he's going to look like a big belly. You go too high, it's going to look like a snake. Once again, lightly, I'm going to go down, I'm going to swoop around, and then come up. Because pretty much from here over is all tail. My belly might be a little bit deep. Okay. So this is a tricky shape. You can see I already erased the bottom. Starts out wide, gets thin, and then that just becomes a tail. We're going to go right off the paper. Okay, so I'm going to hop over here and I'm going to do his head. The head is kind of like a car. We do the roof, and then we do the slanted windshield, and then we do the hood, and then we do the bumper. So it's going to kind of look like a car. Some people think it kind of looks like a wiener dog too, you know, like a little dachshund, the little hot dogs with the little legs. So I'm going to start up at this point, and right about halfway between my line and the end of the paper is going to be the top of his head. These two have a very rounded head. I've seen people do it flat. Up to you. And then we're going to slant down a little bit. Right, that's the windshield of the car. Slanted, not straight down. Notice there's no like real sharp points to this. It's just kind of like smooth and flowy. And then I'm going to flatten out a little bit. That can be slightly downhill too. And then right before I get to the end of the paper, I'm going to go down and then in. I told you it looks like a wiener dog. That's what everybody tells me. You don't want to make this part too skinny. And then I'm going to come down and make his lip. Now it's really starting to look like a dog. Before I do any of the stuff up here, I'm going to draw a guideline, right? That's just a line that's there to guide us. We're going to erase it. It's not a permanent part of our picture. It's just going to help us a little bit. So I'm going to draw it light, but I need to draw it dark enough so that you can see it. And it's going to go from this lip right there, the outside, right there. And I'm going to swoop down and touch right about here. It's going to be sort of like 25% of a circle, like a quarter of a pie. I'm going to start here and very, very lightly. I'm just going to draw. That's where the wrinkles in my neck are going to go, right? That's all these wrinkles. These wrinkles are great. Look at the wrinkles in the neck. It reminds me of a curtain that's been pulled open, right? When the curtain's closed, it's all like flat and smooth. But then when you pull it all to the side and it's all crunched up at the bottom, that's kind of what we're shooting for. A wrinkled curtain. And it's going to go from looking like a wiener dog to an iguana. That's what we want. Okay, before I do my wrinkles, I'm going to hop up here to the windshield, and we're going to do the eye. And that's just going to be kind of like a big football. I'm going to do an eyelid, top and bottom. Not much, very little. And I'm going to do a circle, which I can only see part of it. Just the two sides of the circle. And then a skinny little slit, like a snake has, like reptiles have. So right in the middle, it's kind of like a skinny little vertical football. Well, mine got colored in black, but you can do that. I wouldn't color it with a pencil, but. Now, iguanas have a lot, they have like really leathery skin. So around their shoulders and their elbows and their eyes, they've got all like these wrinkles and lines. So what I'm going to do is try to do a couple wrinkles. So I'll just kind of go make like a couple lines up above and below. That's what Mr. El Paso looks like when he gets up in the morning. So the wrinkles kind of start in the front and just kind of go top and bottom. Our nostril, really simple, kind of like a little raindrop, kind of. Now he has kind of like these little bumps on his top lip, or it's like a pattern. It's not really bumps, but they're like a little bumpy pattern. So right on this top line, kind of looks like he has a lip fungus, but he doesn't. And then under this lip here, he has like these circles where they kind of go, they're not perfect circles. They kind of go like from small to big. It's kind of like a little pattern there. You're going to want to keep those close to that lip because we have to do our wrinkles right there. Remember, this line is just an approximation. What you do not want to do, right? You do not want to just put lines on that guideline because they're not going to look like wrinkles. So that line is just there so we don't have to worry about where our wrinkles go. They can go above that, they can go below it, but we're generally going to go on that line all the way until it connects to the body. Right, so remember, think curtains. Right, so don't draw it here. I'm just showing you bigger, a little bit bigger. Think curtains. Just think curtains that are pushed together. So right from this lip, I'm going below it, a little above it, and eventually I would erase that guideline. They're not perfect. They're all a little different. They're just kind of like rectangles with rounded edges. That's kind of the way they look to me. Kind of like half of a rectangle, maybe a little wider at the bottom, and they have rounded edges. The faster you do them, the better they usually look. Okay? Now we're going to erase. We're not going to erase this guideline yet because you're going to erase a lot of your wrinkles. You can do that after if you're going to Sharpie it or whatever. We'll talk about that later. But we do need to erase a line now, and that is this line right here. It's inside. We need to connect our head and our body together, and we're going to do that by getting rid of part of that Nike swoosh that we made at the beginning. So now it's like all nice one big piece. Less like a wiener dog, more like an iguana. Now my spikes. My spikes start right here, right where that line I just erased. I probably should have left it there for that reason. So right at the back of the head, my spikes are going to start up here. They're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Right when I start to turn that corner, they're going to get so small, they're going to disappear. So once again, the spikes, kind of like the wrinkles, they're not just going to be these perfect little triangles like it's a dinosaur. They're a little bit more thin. They bend forward, they bend backwards. If you ever pet an iguana and you pet them, they're softer than they look, and they just kind of bend down in case you want to pet them. So I'm going to start right here. And they're kind of big at the beginning. They can bend over this way. They can bend backwards. And I'm trying to sort of make them get a little smaller as I go. Most of them come all the way back down to the body. They're not like, and then come down. Most of them are like individual little spikes that are all kind of connected to the spine. So I'm going to get smaller and smaller, frontwards, backwards, nice skinny. They're kind of triangles, bendy triangles is all they are. They're little just bendy triangles. And as I get around this corner, they just kind of sort of disappear. They get so small, poof, gone. When you trace this later, you are tracing this line right here. A lot of times people don't think they're going to trace it. It's still part of the iguana, just because there's spikes on it. Okay, now the legs. Oh, they're so much fun. They kind of have this weird shape to them, right? They're going to slant down this way. You don't have to draw these lines. They're going to slant this way, and then they're going to go over this way, and then go back down that way. So it's weird. Looks like somebody broke his leg. So I'm going to draw it right about here, right in the middle of my body. We'll make them a little bigger at the top. They get a little bit smaller as I go down. This one's going to be a little lower because I have to go this way. So my wrinkles will go on this side, and then my leg will go that way. You can either erase the belly now or do it afterwards. Obviously, the leg is in front of the belly. Now, when it comes down, now the wrinkles will be on this side. So the top part is obviously inside the body. The part that goes this way can either be inside or outside the body. Mine's actually both, but it depends how deep your chest is. If your chest is really low, a lot of your leg is going to be inside of it. If your chest is narrow like mine, and a lot of it will be outside of it. Okay? And then see how it's wide, and then it's getting thinner, and then it gets down to where I don't know if they call it the wrist on an iguana, but I'm calling it the wrist, right before the fingers, the toes. Up here, remember like the wrinkles we had around the eye? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a couple little lines so it makes it look like it's coming out of his body, but then we also want to do some wrinkles that are kind of like around the leg. Okay? Now toes. The longer the better. They've got these creepy long Freddy Krueger little toes with big long claws. If you do short little fingers, it just look funny. So my outside toes are going to be a little bit shorter than the other ones, but they're still long. So this is going to go out and down. You can see how long they are? Pretty long. Looks like a house. Looks like there's an iguana growing out of the roof of the house. Then I'm going to put a line inside here. That's my outside toe. Put a couple little wrinkles where the finger bends or where the toe bends. Notice how there's a hole right here at the top. We need that hole. I don't know if you can see it. I hope it's bigger on your screen than it is on mine. And then my next toes are going to come right from there. Okay, so I've got one toe, two toes, and they're connected at the top. See that? Two toes. Then I'm going to do one more toe over here. Whoops. A couple little wrinkles. My middle toes are a little longer. So if I was to draw it big, here's the leg, goes out, toe, and then the second ones are there and here. I don't know if that makes it a little easier to understand. Hopefully it does. And at the bottom, nice big Freddy Krueger claws. I like to curl them in. I don't know why, I just do. Okay, so there it is there. I'm going to erase it because I got to do the back leg. Got it? Good. You can always rewind it, which you're going to have to on the toes. Because if I don't go fast, we're going to have a 30-minute video, and who wants that? Now, the back leg. If we put it too close to here, it's going to look weird. If we put it too close to the tail, it's going to look like it's growing out of the tail. So I'm going to put it right about there, right before my body starts to get thin and turn into a tail. So right about there. The back leg's going to be slanted a little bit too. I'm going to put that right in the middle of the body, about top to bottom, in the middle. Put those little lines on there too, and we'll get the couple little wrinkles. Try to make it sort of look like the other one. Okay. And then this leg just kind of slants just a little bit down, just a little bit. So it's not as crazy angle as that front leg. So it's a little wider, gets a little smaller, and then a little smaller as it goes down. And then we're going to do the same foot as we did over there. Out and down, out and down. Inside, inside. Make sure you got a little bit of a space opening right there. And then I'm going to put my next toe touching this line, a little longer. Notice how this line I just made on the inside, it's not touching anything yet. Okay? And then my next toe touches the other toe, toe number 2, in the middle. So when you're done, you should have 3 little points at the top, right? Because you got one there, there, and there. You should have 4 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4. It gets confusing because you have space between the toes, but you know, like if you're coloring it, start coloring it up here and work your way down, and then you won't get confused about what's the toes. Because I've seen people do the toenails on something that's not a toe. It's the space between the toe. So if you're not sure what's a toe, come up here and just go, follow it down. Okay, well there's my toe, claw. Up here, follow the toe down, big claw. And that way, I think it'll be a little bit less likely that you'll get confused, because it's very easy. I mean, I've drawn it 100 times, so I can do it quickly. You're going to be like, what? Your front leg leg's probably going to be a smidge lower than your back leg, which is fine. So now what we want to do, and make sure, of course, you erase any part of the body that's going through the iguana. We erase that line there. So now we want to put him kind of laying on a branch. And I want his head to be kind of perked up, kind of like this one here. Looks like he's alert. He's just kind of like, So I'm going to start my branch right about here. I don't want the wrinkles to be touching the branch. So I'm going to start it right on the chest, and I'm just going to kind of go across. And down here, I want to make the log so his toes are just hanging off it. So right about where the toenails meet the toes, that's kind of where my branch is going to be. Now here, obviously, I'm not going to curve up just to meet those toes, so I will just go straight across. I mean, it's a branch. It doesn't have to go straight across. And it is behind your tail. Okay, behind the tail. And then over here, the top of that branch will probably be somewhere around there. Maybe I need to lower that a little bit. Maybe I should raise this a little bit. There we go. All right, so he's kind of hanging out on the branch. Now I'm going to do vines wrapped around it. We'll do some vines. So the vine is going to start over here at the top of the branch. I'm going to go up, over, down on a slant, and then right before I get to the branch, I'm going to curve, and that line is just going to slowly meet the branch, nice and smooth. Top is above, bottom slowly touches it. Right, and now the bottom of my vine is going to do the opposite. This one's going to start right where that one did at the point. I'm going to go over, then down, under, and come up and meet it. So the trick to the vine is it's pointy at the top, it's pointy at the bottom. That's the trick. And now if I erase these two parts of the branch, see how it looks like it's wrapping around? The trick is point, point. Now I'm going to do one right here. I don't have to do the top because he's laying on it. So I'll come down, curve and touch the branch, come down, go under and come up and meet it right at the point. So when I erase this line, got a nice little point there, and it looks like it's wrapping around. I don't have room for one on the back end. You can see where this person did. You can see the little vine right there. If you want to do one back here, if you have more room than I do, then you would just kind of go up and over and down. That one will go off the page. As long as you've got a point, it looks like a little bird's beak. As long as you have a point on the right side and then a point on the bottom and the left side, it's going to look like it's wrapping around. Okay? So, the lines that we were supposed to erase, I'll do them in red. We erased that line. We erased that line. We erased that line of the chest. We erased that. We erased that line. We erased there. And we erased this guideline, that smooth line that we had going. We erased all that. So everything in red should be gone. If you want to watercolor it, I would outline it with a permanent marker, something pointy. You can do it with a regular Sharpie, but unless it's brand new, it's probably going to be a very wide line. And with all of those spikes and the wrinkles there and the little patterns and the bumps on the eye, you're probably going to want, and the toes, look how small those toes. Your toes are going to be longer than that, by the way. I love this iguana, but those toes should be longer. So you might want to trace it. If you're just going to color it in, well, first of all, let me finish the watercolor. If you're going to watercolor it, you're going to want to trace it with a permanent Sharpie, something skinny, or even a permanent like pen, a ballpoint pen or something. And then it's good to watercolor because the iguanas kind of have like light green, dark green, yellows. You can see where they kind of blended the different color yellows and greens together. And then the stripes on the tail, you'll probably want to Google this because usually the spikes will match the stripes on the tail. Sometimes they're brown, sometimes they're blue like this. And then I think, I'm not sure what color the little spots are. I don't know if they match the spikes or not. You have to check that out online. I don't know why the vines are red. I would do them green, but whatever. You make the vines whatever color you want, I guess. There's another one that was watercolored. They used a little more yellow than green, which is fine. If you want to use colored pencil for this, you can do that too. You can blend yellows and greens almost as easy as you can watercolor. Your branch is probably going to be brown unless you want to do another color. Or maybe the branch is green and the vines are something else. I don't know. Check it out online. Find a picture of an iguana laying on a branch and see what you find. Then the background, totally up to you. If you're watercoloring, it's a pretty easy job. Just whatever. It can be green if he's in the forest or the rainforest. These people did sky. I don't know why. I don't know if that branch is just floating up in the sky somewhere. I don't know. But you can do whatever you want for the background. Normally it's a 2. Right, our drawings are usually 2 classes. We draw it the first week, and then the second week during your art time, you'll color it in. I don't know if this is going to be a 2-week project. You can try. I'll have a video up in 2 weeks, but if this takes you a little bit longer than one art class, then that's what it takes you. If you color it in and it takes you 2 or 3 art classes, the next video will always be on Teams waiting for you. So don't feel, it does have like a deadline date on Teams, but that's because I have to put a deadline in there. They won't let me submit it unless there's a date. So that's not a hard and fast date, because if we did this in class, this would take us like 4 art classes. Easy, maybe more. So for you to do it in 2 would be a lot of work. If you do, great. Whenever you do finish it, send me a picture in Teams. I can't wait to see them. Okay? I will see you later, guys. Miss you. Bye.